All right, welcome to the Uncommon Truth and journeying with us as we pursue the principles of energy, of health, and of performance. Today, Bob and I are going to talk about daily habits. How do we set them? What should habits be? And why would we even have a habit in the first place? Well, what do you think, Bob? How important are habits and rituals to us living an uncommon form of life?
Morning, Heath. Good to see you, bud. Good to see you. We talk a lot about this on our program because habits and rituals are just really actions that we take on a regular basis that either add value to our lives or take something away from our lives. So, for instance, 3 glasses of wine before dinner, a scotch after dinner, and then like a Spanish coffee, to tap off the night. That's a lot of shots of alcohol. that could be a ritual. That could be a dang good ritual. Does that add value to your life? Maybe it does, once a month. But when you're doing it every night, maybe it doesn't add that much value to your life. So we talk about identifying those rituals and habits that really add value to our lives, that help us in the form of life, help us with our relationships, help us with our physical selves, help us with our work selves, help us to become peak performers, high performers, given the time that we have left on this earth. So, what a privilege it is to wake up in the morning, breathing, and then you have a whole day. You got a whole day to max your relationship with your spouse, to work with your kids, to do something special in your business. And those habits and rituals that we have, if they're good habits and rituals, then we got a good shot at having a fantastic day. And buddy, me at my age and you at your age, a good day is gold, is platinum.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Well, you and I are really working hard right now on our Uncommon Diabetic Life program, and that came really out of me being a type 1 diabetic and our passion to really help people find the energy and the health and the performance so that we can each live what we each define as an ideal form of life. Well, I have to live by rituals. One of the opportunities I get as a type 1 diabetic is that if I do not have a procedure, a process, a ritual for how to assess where I am at through blood testing and through my glucometer on a regular basis, and then taking that information and defining a course of action that I need to do to maintain my glucose, my blood sugar levels for the next, say, 2 to 3 hours. And that's really about the time frame that I can have significant impact on it. I can't reach out too far because I can't predict what's going to happen in my life, as none of us can really predict what's going to happen in our life at a moment by moment. And the things that affect our blood sugar are the food that we put in, which is the fuel, the sugar, the exercise, which is or activity or movement we put into our life, which is what burns the sugar. Then any other form of stress, whether it be mental, physical, emotional, environmental, social, these are the 5 stresses that affect all of us as human beings. All of those burn sugar. And then I can go on with a myriad of other things that just happen to drive it. The burning of the fuel in our car, right? And then I got to manage my insulin level, which allows that sugar to be put into my cells and to run my body. It's complex. It's not simple. And if I don't have a process, a habit, a ritual to help guide me, I end up in a medical circumstance. Not sometimes, invariably within 3 hours.
The ultimate threat, right, is being seriously affected because you haven't managed that correctly. But there's all sorts of other things that happen just before that, I think, and you can tell me if this is true or not. But when I'm really low on food, when I'm really low on energy, I get this way sometimes. But I think for people with diabetes or the pre-diabetic, this happens too. And leaders that run organizations or supervising people often don't realize that people that are running low on energy or people that have diabetes deal with this all the time. But things like they feel weak, they have blurred vision sometimes, they get very irritable. You're yawning right now.
Yes.
You're yawning right now. You feel tired, man. You shouldn't feel tired, but you do feel tired, right? You feel confusion. You don't feel good. You get nausea. It's really hard to perform at work. It's really hard to perform in your family. It's really hard to perform in the community when you've got these symptoms, right? All because of that lack of energy. All because of there's a gap between where your energy should be and the habits and rituals that you've done to get to your point where you are right now. There's that big gap that has to be fixed, right?
No, and you've nailed it. I think this gap of where we are and where we want to be is really defined by what we're doing. So the things that I'm really trying to focus on, and this is what, I've got non-diabetic friends that are really great athletes, and they basically all focus on these same 4 pillars. And we've talked about this before in our programs, but I'm just going to walk through kind of my day and what I do repeatedly, and I'm focusing and I'm assessing. You kind of joked about my yawning there. So when I first wake up, the very first thing I do is I do a basic assessment and I do a blood test. That blood test tells me how much fuel's in the tank, right? And glucose in my blood. And once I know that, I have fact, not how I feel. Because when I wake up in the morning, sometimes I wake up and I feel sluggish, I feel tired, I got a headache, and I'm going, okay, what's going on, right? Because that could be signs of many other things in my body as a diabetic, low blood sugar being the main one, or it could be an extremely high blood sugar. But I have to assess it. And once I've done that and I got some facts, I actually can take a breath and go, okay, what is the next thing that needs to be dealt with? And for me, what I do is I take a moment and I drink water. We're 90% water. And I drive my activities around making sure that I'm hydrating. And as you know, Bob, I have one of these big, oh, it's disappearing. There you go. Big water bottles always around me at all the time, because I'm trying to drink at least 6 of those every day for multiple reasons. It suppresses hunger. It hydrates me and actually gives me energy for the activities that I want to do, especially when we're dealing with 30 plus degrees outside. But even in the middle of winter, I'm trying to drink at least 6 of those because it's flushing out all the bad stuff, and there's so many other benefits of it. But anyways, long and short, I do that. Then once I do that, I make a decision on what I need to fuel my body with. And these eating habits that we start our day with are critical. And unfortunately, I used to have really poor eating habits. I went through, as you know, probably a decade or more as I was building my different companies and traveling so much that I hit the Tim's drive-thru or whatever in the morning, would have a coffee and have a breakfast sandwich or 2. And just that, a double is 150 calories, right? A single is 75. The breakfast sandwiches, when you do that all up, that's a 500 calorie breakfast. The average male that's between, for sake of a better word, 25 to 45, only needs about 2,000 calories.
A day.
Yeah. Exactly. And I consume that before 8 a.m., right? I'm already 25% through, and away we go. So those choices that we fuel our body with really set up the day. And from that, I learned.
It's really interesting that you're talking about habits and rituals. Like, it is a Canadian tradition, my friend, to go through 3 million Canadians a day go through the Tim Hortons drive-through. Apparently, 3
Yeah,
million. Most of them are ordering double doubles.
yeah, this is
And
true.
we did the calculation on this, you and I, just a couple of days ago, and that's between 20 and 30 cups of sugar a year. If you did that every day, it's 20 and 30 cups of sugar ingested a year just by ordering a double double.
That's one double double, and that. Oh, and we didn't talk about that. That's a
That's right.
small. That's a small double double
Well,
that
I
we
mean,
were just talking about.
it's fascinating when you actually get down to it. I've got friends that drink Coke, right?
Yeah.
And Coke, they love Coke. Who doesn't love a nice pop? Well, me and you don't. But
Yeah.
because it becomes a habit very quickly. It becomes a ritual very quickly. Just one Coke a day, and the number of teaspoons of sugar in a Coke is startling, right? And
Oh,
look it up.
39 grams.
Look. It's like,
Yeah.
so if you're having your double double and a Coke, how many cups of sugar are you drinking a year? It's
Oh, my
crazy.
goodness.
It's crazy time. It's crazy time. So
That's right. These rituals, though, as we're talking about, Bob, this is so great. So I had these rituals and I had to shift them, right? Because hydration is only one part of the fueling of the body. The nutrition, and that's what we were talking about, that we're putting in, is really, really critical. Of the 4 pillars, nutrition and hydration are 2. What we're putting into our body, right? The next is obviously our exercise, our movement, what we're doing. Are we sedentary or are we active? And to what level is based on our season of life and everything else. But we need to match the food and hydrations to the exercise. And lastly is rest and recovery. And I think making sure that we're getting enough sleep. I don't do that well enough. And I'm really trying to focus on that to make sure that I'm getting over 7 hours. And that's a real, the science just screams that you need to be getting that 7 hours. Some people up to 9. But the point is that our rituals and our habits are going to drive our overall health. And if we want to have an uncommon life, to live our ideal form of life, we really need to be diligent and focused on what we want to do. Because what we do becomes the habit. We are consciously choosing a habit or we're subconsciously choosing it. Either way, our body and the human being's condition is we create patterns.
yeah, and and it comes down to, and we don't want to be preachy here because we both have great habits at times, and sometimes we slip. We both slip too, right? Because that's just that's the human way. So we're just you and I are just doing the best we can. But it starts out like very proud of you because you changed your vision of who you were about 4 or 5 years ago, right? And the person you wanted to be. You started to change your habits, take action to be a different person. So you saw yourself back becoming an elite athlete again and made those decisions. You made if I'm going to be an elite athlete, an elite business person, I'm going to make these changes. And you've radically changed your eating habits. And the other thing that has been really amazing about you is how much you've learned, like how you're become a student of energy health. You become a student of nutrition, and that has really helped you formulate a new vision for yourself. It's like every time you get more information, you feel more empowered to become the person that you want it to become. So that's a great lesson for people is, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all have frailties. A lot of people build this into their life. So I was just reading about The Rock. Do you guys, know who The Rock is? I think his name is Dwayne Johnson.
That's right, Dwayne Johnson.
Like this massive man. Just he has a cheat day. I think it's once a week. He has a cheat day, it's called, where he eats anything he wants. And so he was actually on Instagram just the other day showing the people what he was eating. That he was eating at the time, he was up to 7,000 calories, pizza, fried foods, because he's so regimented in his habits and rituals that's what works for him. is if he allows himself a cheat day a week, he can still survive, and he gets all his cravings out, right? Then he goes right back into that mental mindset where he has another great 6 days. But he's always looking forward to the cheat day, to his pizza and his fried food or whatever he's eating, right? So
Yeah, there's something really powerful about that, and it's the science behind habits. It's quite interesting. It's said this way: is that those things that you do consistently are what are going to define the outcomes of your life.
mm-hmm.
It's not the once in a while things we do, because we're not that. Like, so if I go out as a diabetic and I decide, you know what, I really want to have an ice cream treat, and I go to Dairy Queen and I get a treat, that doesn't mean I'm an unhealthy diabetic. It means that I better down manage my glucose and my insulin properly when I do that, or else I can put myself into a bad spot. But I can do that. But the real truth is that treat once in a while reminds me of how important my consistent rituals are,
Mm-hmm.
because it puts a huge strain on my body and my mind just trying to manage and adjust for those things, right? And rituals provide consistent results, right? So that's the neat part of it. It's predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about this a lot. How do we predict what our future is going to be? We create it. What do we really create? Our life. And what our life is the things we do. And the things we do consistently are called habits and rituals. So The Rock is a world leader in that. A man I actually really respect, and how disciplined he is in his fitness, in his diet, etc. But you got to have moments to just allow yourself a little bit of pleasure in it. Now, for me, I've come to actually really love my diet. I eat a ton of salad. I eat a ton of chicken. Probably realistically in a year, maybe it is a ton, but the point is it doesn't need to be painful. And I think that's a big lie that we tell ourselves a lot, is that self-discipline is pain. Let's change our meaning. Let's change our belief around what a ritual is. A righteous ritual is helping you live rightly for you. You get to choose it. What do you think on that, Bob?
Well, you're absolutely right, and I think that people fear. We've talked about this before, that fear stops people from taking action, and the conscious fear or unconscious fear. And people fear that there will be too much sacrifice in terms of food, that it won't be any more fun to eat, that all the pleasurable stuff about food will be taken away because they have to, quote, go on this diet, unquote. But that's not the truth. We'll talk more about this maybe next time, or in episodes coming up, about not diet, but about what we eat, right? How we fuel our bodies. And the truth is that we eat together sometimes, and the things that we eat are absolutely delicious, like spectacular food, and lots of it too, which is kind of shocking when you think about it. It's just a matter of understanding what you're putting in your body and the effect that it's going to have on you. And it's also the art of choosing things. So rather than having, this particular item, you can choose something else. Harder to find though sometimes. Like, you have to plan for this sort of thing. A good story your listeners would really probably relate to is you came up for a meeting with me the other day, and you're getting low, and so you wanted to go find something to eat, so you had to drive around, and you came back going, do you know how hard it is to find something to eat in the neighborhood? And we have many shops in the neighborhood, but to find something that actually was a good choice, right, was very difficult. So life, the way our culture is structured, it is difficult to find the appropriate choices. They're there, but sometimes not easy to find.
Yeah. I just on the diet side, because as we talk about rituals, we were talking about the 4 pillars of health and nutrition. I'm just a little acronym, as you know me, an acronym king. Uh, and I love this one it's not mine, but it was told, and it's diet means dying is the word die with the T at the end of it. Why? Because we're dying because we're being told what to eat, right? And that in itself, quite honestly, is stressful. And stress is ultimately the killer of everything. And you need to set rituals that work for you. And you don't need to go and try to be the rock day one. Every day is day one. Because yesterday's done, tomorrow's not here. We're day one of tomorrow. And what we do today is predicting our tomorrow, right? So if we don't want to die, let's predict our tomorrow in a positive way. So build a more balanced approach and wean ourselves off of the bad things and onto the good things and into good habits and rituals. It takes 21 days to break a habit and 66 to replace it with the new one. This isn't me. This is, again, science and tons of programs that you can find online about that. But the aspect of creating daily habits is one of the key pillars of success, right? Chance favors a prepared mind. And for all of us, rituals and habits are really just preparation, knowing ahead of time what we're going to do in a given moment or choice or circumstance.
I love that. I love that that formula about changing a habit. So, little story there. I decided to stop drinking sugar in my coffee in my 20s, right? Because I'd read how much sugar there was involved in it. So I had a little challenge for myself is no more sugar in your coffee, no more cream in your coffee black from now on. Because my dad drank coffee black, couldn't understand why he would do it. It tasted awful. So I said, I'm going to try it. 23 cups of coffee. That's how many it took me. 23 cups of coffee, which is basically 23 days. Cup of coffee a day, right? Get up in the morning. First coffee, horrible. Second coffee, horrible. 10, 15 cups in, it still tasted awful. And then all of a sudden it started to change. And on the 23rd cup of coffee, I actually liked it. And no sugar, no cream. It's like, wow, this is really good. I can really taste the coffee. I can understand this. I understood it fully. Changing the habit, right? And then so I drank that for a couple of weeks, and then I went back, and somebody says, "You want some sugar in your coffee?" I said, "Yeah, put a couple of teaspoons of cream in it." And then I tasted the sugary, creamy coffee, and I couldn't drink it. So I had gotten so used to the black coffee that I couldn't take two teaspoons of sugar and some cream in my coffee. That's how habits are changed, right? That's how habits are gained.
It is so well said. So well said. And you know what? Now we enjoy our coffee together. Right? Once you go black, you're never going to go back. You start to actually taste and become the connoisseur of coffee. So I think everyone out there today, as we're just talking about daily rituals, Bob and I are talking every day, and we're really trying to create really strong rituals. Why? They're the foundation. They're the pillars that we're putting in for our life. And that, and these 4 pillars of taking the time to create intention in your day, breathe, do some deep breathing, read up on gentlemen like Wim Hof or different types of meditation. We're not talking long. It could be anywhere from 2 minutes to 20 minutes. You do that. The science proves that your whole entire biochemical makeup for the day changes. It affects your brain waves. It affects everything. Hydrate and eat clean. Doesn't matter what you eat, but eat clean. Limit all the additive type stuff. If you read the label on a piece of food or a can or anything that you're buying and you don't know what the word is, you shouldn't be eating it. It's that simple. When it says blah, 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 oxide, you don't want to eat that stuff when it's multiple syllables, right? So that's just on the food. Secondly, you've got to move. I don't care what it is. The ritual has to include these 4 pillars, and that is move every day. And the simplest way that I love is when I'm in a day of meetings, I'm in the office, I get up and I give myself 5 minutes every hour to give me 10 push-ups, go for a walk around the building, whatever it might be. I do something 5 to 10 minutes. And I'd skip to lunch as an example, right? Because when you move your body, it changes the chemistry, it changes your emotion, which creates motion in the right direction. And then lastly, really work to guard your sleep time. You got to make sure you're getting rest and recovery, whatever that be for you. But those 4 things will really transform your life in the daily rituals that we are. You know, Bob, something I really respect about you is you're a massive hiker. And pretty much every day, you're either on a hike or you're on a bike. And you've made a conscious choice to step up and improve in your 60s to reach a new level now. And said, you know what? To hell with this. I'm going to make 60s the best shape I've ever been in. And I'm proud of you, right? No different than me. You support me. And I'm going to make 50s like new 30s, right? We can do it, right?
As a good example, right? We've worked all morning together here. We've got another meeting at 3:00 today. It's coming on to 1:00. I got 2 hours and I got a choice, right? Now you got habits. What are you going to do? I've been sitting all morning long, right? I don't have my water bottle anywhere close to me. So I've got to drink. I got to drink that. No, I got to hydrate up and I got to go out for, 45 minutes. I got to get out of here for 45 minutes or I won't be ready. How am I going to be like a high performance level for the meeting at 3, the important meeting we have at 3? So I got to do something to clear the brain. The outdoors is a wonderful place to think, to be creative. It just clears everything right out. And then the blood gets going and, I'll have a great afternoon because of it. But if I don't do that, I'll be hurting.
I agree. And just to conclude, I think the real truth is that our entire life is about managing our state, our mental, our focus. It's about our language, our self-talk, the communication that we do with ourselves and others. And thirdly, it's the movement of our physiology. It's our body. So as long as we're focusing on all those 3 things, we can control in the time that it takes for a heart to beat, the state we're in and what we're doing. So guys, in summary, it's up to us. It's all about choice. We're creating daily habits by choice, or we're allowing our 2 million year old brain, the dinosaur brain, to control us and drive it. So Bob and I are both going to go do something physical right now to get us ready for our next set of meetings this afternoon. And we just encourage you as well, guys. Choose and come back and journey with us as we continue to journey down this road about an uncommon life. And as we focus on a new direction for us is really trying to empower people to live by these 4 pillars of health and to live an uncommon diabetic life, whether you're a diabetic or not, right? Because it's really just living with uncommon health. So check us out at www.theuncommontruth.life or search for us under The Uncommon Truth and YouTube and Facebook and all the different iPod and apps out there. We really appreciate you joining us as we journeyed and discussed today the power of daily habits and rituals. And until next time, be healthy and God bless.
See you at 3.
Thanks, Bob. Cheers, bud.